Man City didn't dominate teams before Pep Guardiola came along. They were winning the odd title, but he has created something that surely, when somebody innovates something, somebody else normally comes along and goes, "Oh, I like the look of that. I think I can make it better." Yeah. I don't see anybody trying to.
It's always him, isn't it? Look at the inverted fullbacks.
Yeah,
like, that's him now, and everyone's doing it.
Somebody should be looking at, I'm going to create something better than Pep, and that takes work. And I don't think it's innovative or hard working to go, let's park the bus.
Well, I think it's going to come full circle. Just hit the big man, get around him. There's already talk of that. Get long balls in, get in around him.
The thing is, even in that Newcastle game where I thought they were very submissive, and they're not the only ones who will do it, they still could have got a point if they'd have been a little bit more on the front foot. Phil Foden played very well.
Yeah.
But no, I think you've got to go on the front foot. I think you've got to try and win.
So who out of the pretenders do we think can dethrone Pep? I mean, you said Arsenal will win the title before Newcastle. That's not necessarily saying that they're going to knock Pep off his perch, but who can do it?
I think that what we need in the Premier League at the moment is also almost a handicap on Man City to make it interesting in two areas. If you say Haaland can't win the Golden Boot unless he starts on -10, I think he'd still win it.
Yeah.
And I think if you took 10 points off Man City, they'd probably still win it. The weird thing is, we're not doing that to Man City. It would be unfair. But I think every team that's trying to chase them is handicapped in one way or another, in the sense that Man United need a midfielder, Liverpool need a midfielder, Chelsea need a striker, Arsenal need a striker. So, but Man City don't need anything. They've got almost a perfect squad. So it's
even with City though, you'd probably say they still need a midfielder for when, like, because the big thing is when we get to September, the Champions League starts. Manchester City have had those. It feels they always have a bad patch around at some point in the season, and something happens where they then just go onto that destructive role of games where they just find the flow. Ilkay Gundogan normally scores about 35 goals, and then they go and win on the league. So I still think we've got that. It's just where we need Arsenal or Liverpool to step up and really, and hopefully because of the way Arsenal have strengthened, they can be that team to really, really push again. Because look at Liverpool when they took on Man City. Was it the first season they both lost one game and it was by 3 points. Next season, Liverpool learnt from that and did it. So hopefully, I mean, look at the way Arteta's identified the goalkeeper situation. Ray is coming in for a reason. You've said it, I've said it. So hopefully, with all those points identified, Arsenal can really push on. Because from a neutral perspective, I want everything going down to the last day of the season.
I did read somebody on social media last night, Pratt, said that 1-0 win against Crystal Palace is down to Declan Rice, and that's the difference between this season and last season. And I sat there laughing to myself, which is a bit sad. And I thought, they've got 6 points from 2 games. Does this idiot realise they took 43 from 48 last season? Arsenal aren't far off. But I think the big problem is, you can talk about how you play against Man City. I actually think in relation to balance of squads, teams haven't done enough. I looked at Arsenal last night. Jesus comes back. He ain't Haaland.
I thought Nketiah looked very good though.
I think he's a hard-working grafter.
Yeah,
he's a bit like my postman, but he's not good enough. He missed 2 big chances in the first half. They got away with it last night because he earned the penalty, did well.
And that's the thing. Sorry to jump in, but like Haaland misses out. We've got Alvarez now, who seems to be absolutely cooking.
And what a goal that was against Newcastle. So I think Arsenal lack an out-and-out number 9. That's Man City have got Haaland. You've got to try and find a Haaland. Chelsea have got to try and find a Haaland. Man United have got to try and find somebody who can play next to Casemiro. Liverpool need to try and find a Rodri.
Yeah, but I still think you need a number 9 because the
Rasmus.
Yeah,
Rasmus.
Great, but that's not gonna. That's a long-term solution.
Yeah, thanks.
That's okay.
I agree.
But we were speaking as well because the top 6 is the top 6. But there's so much chat around Brighton now, and you brought up a good point about if they were to be given £500 million now, would that send them to the top of the league?
Well, it sort of feeds into our either-or section, because I was thinking, who is the best run club in the Premier League? And I know you think Brighton's a bit of an overrated one, but I would say, who's the best run club in the league? Man City, obviously, or Brighton in relation to the ceiling they headbutt against every year.
No, I no doubt about it, Brighton, in terms of where they're at. But it's a bit like that Spurs situation, where Spurs are now is the fans have expectations for top 4 with the stadium and everything, and Brighton are just below that. So if they kick on like European football again, they'll want that next year. So it's just hopefully they can kick on and hopefully they can keep expanding and doing what they're doing with all that recruitment. But they're at this level now. How do they get that to that next level? And I don't think it is another £500 million because, well, we were looking at all the money they've been getting in, and it's pretty much around there anyway, isn't it? So it's just increments each year, just going slowly but surely, building it up and hopefully getting to that point.
Yeah, I think Brighton are a fantastically run club, and obviously they're a favourite of many. They're almost everybody's second team, aren't they? If you can have that sort of thing. But if you gave Brighton £500 million, I think it goes against what that football club's success is. It's almost defying the odds in a brilliant way. It's an interesting point. I mean, if I had £500 million, Will, and we had to give it to one club on the not assumption, statement, if I give this Premier League club £500 million to spend, they'd win the league.
Yeah.
Who would you say would win the league with £500 million to spend right here, right now? I mean, they've only got 10 days to do it, but it's a lot of money.
I would probably trust Arsenal at this point. I think, well, I see that's an obvious one. With Brighton, I just don't think it'd be like the old football man adage, you just wouldn't be able to attract the players. They'd be turning you down because the club profile's not big enough.
Well, they were going to get that Kudus, wasn't they? And now he's looking at West Ham, and I'm like, on a footballing level, Brighton's the place to go to, but obviously...
And even with Liverpool, their transfer business has been so spot on up until probably last season. And then even with the Nunes thing, I just always thought like the problem was so clear. It was the midfield area, and they had a chance probably to go out and get Jude Bellingham last summer, and they didn't do it. And now they've not got Bellingham, Caicedo or Lavia, and they're in a bit of a mess.
I think if I was giving £500 million to any club in the Premier League and I said, look, you've got to win the league, otherwise the mafia is going to want their money back.
Right.
And the interest rates
it's
are
mafia
exorbitant.
money.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a bit nervous now.
Basically, that £500 million in a day, they'll want £1 billion back.
Wow.
So we've got but if you win the league, they go, it's fine, keep the £500 million.
A limb a day they'll take off.
Exactly. So this £500 million we've got to give to someone, Will. If they don't win the league, we're sleeping with the Fishers.
Right.
So, and that's watch the.
I'll give it to Man City then.
No, you've got to beat Man City.
Oh, I'll give it to Arsenal then.
Yeah. To be honest with you, the first team that came into my head was Crystal Palace. No, it was Roy would do it. He knows.
He was in town.
It would be. I actually think Jurgen Klopp's the best manager in the league beyond Pep. So. And he's won it before, so I think if I've got the mafia on my arse, then I've got to go for Klopp. He's won it before, and £500 million is a lot of money. And I'll tell you what, if he doesn't do it, then he's getting it as well.
Ironically, Chelsea are probably on the way to spending £500 million.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust Chelsea with £500 million. They still wouldn't buy a striker.
No, exactly.
Hello, I'm Mark Goldbridge. You might remember me from the video you've just watched. Well, I'm here to tell you about the podcast, Goldbridge Saves Football, with me and Will every week on a Tuesday. Download it, listen to it on all the popular podcast outlets. Links in the video description. Goldbridge Saves Football. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Make sure you support us and listen to it.